call the meeting to order then, and let the record show that all 5 members of the Board of Selectmen are tuned in. Also present is Town Manager Michael Units, and we'll move right on to the business of tonight. And the first thing is discussion and/or vote on town meeting location options and logistics.
Okay. Brad, I'd like to thank all the people that worked on this, and with everything they have to do right now, they did spend a lot of time working on this. And I think Chris Zarner would like to go first. Is my screen shared? Can you see?
Nope.
Nope. All right, let me do that again. Okay. All right. Chris?
Yep.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can. I'm gonna open mine up on my bigger screen so I can read it. I'm on a little laptop here. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hey, Chris.
We've had a very busy time this week with phase 2, getting ready for phase 2. A lot of restaurants moving ahead and getting their planning going, and so this was tough to fit in, but we did our best to do so. So I wanted to start off with the outside option that we discussed. We didn't really have much planned for last week. So I put together a walkthrough plan, safety plan for it, which is displayed on the screen here. I wanted to go over that a little bit with you if I could.
Certainly.
So the meeting is proposed to, well, this proposal is for the high school football field. All volunteers would be wearing reflective vests or official uniform, and all volunteers would be screened by the nurses upon arrival. Bottled water will be made available to anybody that needs one, and Norton Fire will have an ambulance on site for the duration of the event. Parking would be handled by Ray Cord and his team with Neimer and Cert, which would be, I guess, on the bus turnaround parking lot is what the projected lot is right now, which is the lot on the left after the baseball field, because there's a walkway off of that to the track, and we'll get to a map afterwards. At any rate, you know, he would be coordinating the parking. The parking would be done in a staggering way to the point where he can maintain social distancing. And what I mean by that is he's going to try to park people and allow them to get out of their vehicle before he parks another car next to them, so they're not all getting out on top of each other. And that's something we're going to leave up to Ray to come up with the plan on. Cones, the walkway will be clearly marked to get to the track and field area, with cones set to 6 feet apart all the way along the walk to maintain social distance. The Neimer and Cert team would have members along that walk to keep things orderly and help people understand where to go and how to stay safe. And yesterday I was on a webinar with Copeman and Page, and Lauren Goldberg had mentioned a few different things that kind of changed our plans and thoughts a little bit. And one of them was the face mask. So we cannot turn somebody away if they show up and they don't want to wear a face mask at the meeting. Unfortunately, it would be unconstitutional, I guess. So we have to allow them in, and we can socially distance them away from the rest of the people so that they're not affecting anybody. So getting back to this, that walkway, the Neimer and Cert team members would be encouraging all citizens to wear face masks and face coverings, but no requirement. And we would have police presence in case we have any unruly participants. The other thing that come up with Warren Goldberg yesterday was the pre-screening of the patrons as they come in. It was not something that she recommended with regards to taking temperatures and asking them medical questions. She felt that it was an invasion of privacy and it should not be done. So we decided to switch it up a little bit and switch over to a hand sanitized station that is going to be operated by the public health nurse and the school nurses. And the nurses will be available to take temps and answer any symptom and contact questions by request. So if somebody's not sure, if somebody's concerned about their situation or somebody they're with, they can stop and talk to the nurses. All volunteers that will be on site, like I said earlier, will be wearing the either a uniform or a yellow vest, and they'll all be carrying hand sanitizer, so it's available to anybody that needs it throughout the event. When we get to the check-in portion, the volunteers will be using masks and gloves while sitting behind the germ guard. Signage to assist in the check-in, and as well as how to proceed to the meeting area to be seated will be available. Cones and it will be placed in the pathways to maintain social distancing, as well as more signage. When we get into the tent area, the tent will be set up with a stage for the town moderator and the town clerk. In order to set up a stage for the FinCom members, Board of Selectmen, town manager, all the rest of the executives at the top, the head table, the stage would be ginormous because of the social distancing, and it would be extremely expensive. We don't currently have enough stage sections to do so. So I set this up to put the town moderator and the town clerk on the stage so that they could easily see the crowd for their vote count. And then the rest of the boards will be down on either side, 8 people on either side, socially distanced. There'll be tables across the front of them for holding your documents and paperwork, but unfortunately you won't be on a stage. And then finally, with the tent area there'll be approximately 108 to 320 seats set up under the tent and maintaining social distancing. Now, the reason why that number is 108 to 320 is something that I'll explain on the next slide, but let me keep moving on through here and then we'll go back to that. Entry into the tent area, all NEMA, CERT, and MRC volunteers will be there in their face masks, face shields, and gloves, guiding residents to socially distanced positions under the tent. And these positions will be pre-marked with chairs placed in specific locations to maintain social distancing. Signage will be there to remind people of wearing masks at all times, maintaining social distancing. We would ask the moderator to ask that anyone that needs to leave their seat for any reason, please do so safely, and a volunteer nearby can assist if you need it. A separate area off to the side with a larger social distance will be available for those that choose not to wear a mask, but they will be able to participate in the meeting. During the meeting, the residents must raise their hands in order to be recognized by the moderator to speak. Volunteers to assist residents by bringing the microphone to the resident recognized. That was a great idea by Bill Gouveia the last time we spoke to him. MRC volunteer will have a Clorox wipe available to wipe the mic down after every use. Restrooms, I plan on having 3 ADA style, so they're the big portable restrooms on site out in the track. I'll have somebody monitoring the restrooms, ready to spray them down with disinfectant after every use. And hand sanitizer and hand wash stations will be provided outside of the restrooms. Hand sanitizer available to wash down we're gonna have the sanitizer to wash down the side. Cones creating lines at the restroom, maintaining social distancing, as well as signage. And at the conclusion of the meeting, we would ask the moderator if he would make all aware of the orderly process in which they can leave in order to maintain the social distance. And that's something we would help him with some guidance. We would give him to, in order for him to dismiss row by row people to get out safely. And then volunteers will escort the residents while maintaining social distancing out of the field area in an orderly fashion, and there'll be waste receptacles available for used gloves and masks to be disposed of. Mike, if you could put up the seating chart that I had done. Anybody have any questions thus far?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yeah,
Chris, do we have any idea what the expense associated with this would be?
So that's part of this next part that
Okay.
I wanted to talk about. That's a good question because it's something that's coming up here on this next slide.
Seating chart up now, Chris?
No, I can't see it.
All right. Give me a second.
Mike, if you can maybe turn it clockwise, I don't know if it'll work on there.
Okay.
I'll just scroll it down a little bit so we can see the head table anyway. This is a chart I put together. The large rectangular outside edges is the size of the football field, if you can. So on the right-hand side of this will be where the track and, okay, we're looking at it now. You can see at the bottom in the center, there's the dark rectangle. That would be the stage with the moderator and clerk. Each circle represents 6 foot of separation. So the chair in the center is 3 feet from the edge of the circle, and then the next one's 3 feet, so that's 6 feet. So that's showing the maintaining of 6 feet on the chairs. We've got walkways going through. Some are 6 wide, some are 12 wide. But what I was trying to get at with the numbers on the 108 and the 324, I'm sorry, the 108 and the 324 is the 108. So if you can see that dark strip going across the top of the seats, that's a tent, and I couldn't put it over this so you wouldn't be able to see the chairs. But if you could picture that tent, the sliding down over the first section of chairs and the stage and everything, that would be 108 people under a tent. And that would leave 218 people out from under the tent. We could do a second tent, but the price for that would go from about $6,000 to $10,000 just for a tent and chairs. That doesn't include stuff like renting audio equipment, microphones, and that type of stuff, or any other smaller items that we may need. So you would be looking at an additional $4,000 to cover that second section. I don't know if that's something, this is just something that you guys would have to decide on. I don't know how you want to handle that. Some of the other towns right now are doing town meetings with no tent, and some of them are tenting. So it's tough to figure out which way to go. But there's a lot of pros to having a tent over your head when it's hot and the sun blaring down on you. If we end up getting a spot shower or something, everybody isn't going to get wet. But I'm going to leave that up to the Board of Selectmen to decide on whether or not we go with a tent, we go with 1 tent, we go with 2 tents. So if we could go on to the, Mike, do you have the map for the outside that Ray put together?
I do.
Ray, can you explain the map, please? You gotta unmute.
Is the map on there now?
Yep.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Brad, if I may ask a couple questions while Mike's getting that.
Sure.
Chris, in respect to the area where you mentioned about folks being able to stop and talk to the nurses, are we going to post signs with like a list of symptoms or things that we're concerned with to say, you know, if you have any of these, feel free to go over and see the nurses and then point them to wherever the nurses will be?
Yes, so we would have, we would be kind of getting our point across with the signs, if that's what you mean. That we would have gotten across with the scannings. Yes, we would be putting a list of the symptoms. We would be putting, you know, if you feel ill now, you know, type of, you know, please stay home, or do not enter the meeting. So we'll have signs made up for that. Yes.
Mike, scroll down. The outside is underneath this one.
Is that what you want, Ray?
Yeah, keep going.
That's all I have of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just go,
yeah. You had that's the one. That's the one we want. Right there. Okay, so going for the outside, the actual closest parking lot is the bus turnaround lot, which we're calling lot number 1 there. So there is a sidewalk that runs alongside the baseball field all the way down into the track area. When that parking lot fills up, the next lot would be obviously the first part of the main lot. And then we would keep going to the left as we go from there. There are sidewalks from each of those lots, as you see outlined there on the plan. Those sidewalks all merge down in the bottom, and you'll see where it says screening. Screening is where that signage and the nurse and the sanitizing station would be locating as those sidewalks merge there. Out in back of the high school, we're providing for handicapped access parking because that's closest to the field. They would come in the sidewalk there onto the track area to another screening area, sanitizing station. And then those two lines would merge on the track, and volunteers would keep them separated and merged orderly to process to the registration station. From the registration station, they would then process onto the field, again being guided by volunteers and signage. And volunteers in the tent would point them to the proper seating areas if they are masked or not masked, whatever, from that point. So that dovetails in with Chris's plan of the tent.
and one of the other things, I don't know if I heard you say it, but the EMS would be set up.
Oh, yeah.
right
I
there
did not say that. I did not say that. Off the back of the high school, behind the bleachers, there's like a little dead-end parking lot there, where the rescue would be parked, ready access to the field.
Okay. So any other questions on the outdoor option? It seems, you know, it's definitely doable. It's like I say, it's pricey with the tents. And again, I'm going to leave that up to you with the quote, and I should have sent you guys the quote and I didn't, but the quote for the one tent, which covers half the crowd and the chairs, comes out to about $6,025. And then if we add the second tent, it goes up to $10,275. So it's quite a jump in the cost. And like I said earlier, we would still have the porta potties and wash stations, which they were minimal. It was like $700 for all of them. And then the microphone rentals, and any kind of sound equipment that we have to rent to go along with it. So yeah, it's doable, but it's pricey out there. Any other questions?
Chris, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'll ask later.
Brad, if I may.
Yes.
Chris, I didn't see on here, and you may have said it and I missed it. Are you going to have directional signage to and from as well, or are you just going to rely on the greeters?
To and from the.
From the parking, from the parking area to the area of the meeting, and then directional for which way people should go into the meeting.
We're going to rely on our greeters. We're going to have people all the way along that walkway to, basically help them in and help them out. So, we could put arrow signs up if we need to, or exit this way or something, but we have plenty of those around already.
Okay. And then,
Renee, the typical signage that we have planned for that area would be masks should be worn and maintain your social distance spacing, and also voters this way with arrows and that kind of stuff. So there would be some signage in interspace with the volunteers.
okay. The other thing too, have you guys considered, and I was going to ask this later, but I'll ask it now just because you talked about signage. Have you considered handing out something that shows the map, giving them some of the directional information, as well as information like, if you have a question, this is what you do, somebody will come to you, so we don't have people walking back and forth in the aisles?
Well, I talked about that a little bit this morning, and I tried to put it in there. We're trying not to make it so bad that people felt like little kids raising their hand. And so that's why I said if you have to get up to go to the bathroom, we'll have the volunteers ready, watching for people that are getting up and go to assist them. So if somebody gets up and they make eye contact with somebody, but we could put something together. I was thinking about doing a video for Norton Media to put something out there just to kind of explain how the process is going to go once we have a location and time and everything, and we get our plan finalized. I was going to do a video with Ray and Donna and just try to put something together to get it out there so that people kind of have an idea of what's going to happen when they get there. And then we would also put out stuff on Norton Alerts with Facebook and stuff like that, showing the maps and different documentations. So we plan on doing plenty of public outreach ahead of it.
Okay.
And there would be a handout of the procedures, like sort of restating everything that we've talked about so far. And I think also the opening remarks of the moderator has to be reiterating those issues and those procedures. I don't think that the map is necessary because it's all really, once you're there, you're there. But certainly I think a reminder of what the procedures are is worthwhile.
And where are we putting the folks who don't want to wear masks, and then any visitors that want to come to the meeting?
So I thought we had discussed that, because I know you can say non-voters not allowed, but are we going to allow non-voters as well? That's going to be something we didn't know. So
I think we would have to, because we may have outside experts that we need to, general counsel for example.
Okay, yep. All right.
Information on things.
So we can have one of the sections off to the side, off to one end of the tent, where we designate that for guests. Each one of those, I can't see my screen here yet. Hold on. So there's, I think 36 chairs off to 48 chairs off to one side. But we could take half of those and make those, non-voters. So we could designate any area around that, kind of keep them off to the side. And same thing with the people that don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to really treat them badly, but I was planning on putting them at the back of the back section there, kind of where it's showing the tent on my seating chart. But we haven't finalized that exactly yet, because I wasn't sure what we were going to do with tents and that. That was the other thing. I'm trying to give you an idea of what could happen, what the cost would be like, and then you could kind of give us an idea on exactly what you want to do.
Okay. Yeah, and did you, go ahead.
Go ahead, Renee.
I was just gonna ask if you guys had, Chris, I know you said you were at the meeting yesterday. Did you receive the documentation afterwards and look at the map that they did for, is it Brickstone?
I got the email. I haven't had a chance to look at it today. I've been out straight today.
Okay, no, I understood. Take a look at it because they show like the voter seating area, the non-residents area, and then the unmasked voter seating area. So I think it's, you know, when one of the things that Lauren stressed on that is communication. And I think if, you know, if they have a very, you know, similar to what you guys did, but a very detailed map with different areas that I think would be good to get into your announcements and your communications.
Yep. No, I definitely do that before I finalize the map.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece of information that, and Mike, you can remind me of which town it was, but somebody has scheduled an outdoor meeting with no tents and a rain date.
I think it was either Westport or Mattapoisett. They scheduled their meeting for, I think it was the 20th, and then a rain date on that Monday.
Yeah, one of the things I found interesting, if we're thinking of the no tent idea, is when they did the town meeting a few weeks ago in Blackstone, they actually held, they gave everybody sunscreen and insect repellent. So I think we would just need to consider the sunscreen. I mean, I don't know that we'd want people up, not in a tent, and I think having the tent affords us the opportunity to protect people from the rain if it is forecasted.
Anyone else?
Yep, Chris, this is Jack. Thanks for putting this together. That's definitely very, very detailed. This is, perhaps I'm extrapolating from something you said, that you heard from Lauren about you can't require people to wear masks. But if somebody comes to the screening and has a temperature or is displaying symptoms, can we deny them entry, or is that unconstitutional?
According to Laura, no. I think we just have to keep them away from everybody. And that she basically said maybe get them to go to the side and kind of try to talk them out of being there, you know, and going back to their car. But I believe we can only let them be at the far, you know, way in the back and away from everybody, which it seemed crazy to me.
What she promoted, Jack, was that the folks who are greeting and seating, that there be some discussion or training beforehand on how to handle those situations to encourage them to go to a different area. Because even if we have an area that is for folks who don't want to wear a mask, we can't force them to sit there, right? So it's again to encourage them or to, you know, immediately walk them over to that area and then have them sit. But, you know, like Chris said, you can't deny anybody who's a voter access to be there and vote.
Okay, thank you for explaining and clarifying.
If I might, Brad speaking now. The only thing I would like to see on the raised stage, you have the town clerk and the moderator.
Yes.
I think it would be helpful if we doubled the size, because usually the chairman and vice chairman of the finance committee with the moderator pretty much run the meeting. They're the ones that propose all the articles and things like that. And it might make more sense to have them up where people can see them.
Okay, that's not a problem. That's simple enough. We have enough of that.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't too big a deal. It's just something that you could easily add. Anyone else?
Just Brad, if I can ask one more question on the outside venue.
Yep.
Chris, have you had any conversations about if other towns have any resources that we can use, like a tent? I know that she spoke on that. I think she mentioned that a couple of different times during the meeting about sharing resources.
Yeah, honestly, I have the intentions of reaching out, but I didn't have a chance today to do so.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to get the porta potty guy to donate them too. Anything we can get to cut the cost would be great.
Excuse me.
Okay.
So if we want,
If no one has any,
Can I say something, please, Mr. Chair? Lauren, for the Mass Town Clerks Association on a conference, had made comment that if people do not want to wear a mask, that we are to set aside a place down the end of the gym or wherever, and we send them down there to vote. So I don't know if that would also pertain to town meeting. I just thought I'd throw that out. Maybe we should double check with Lauren on that.
She said you can discreetly direct those people to an area, but you can't have signs saying people without masks sit over here. You have to do it discreetly.
So, okay.
we can push them that way, but we can't make them stay.
Okay, so that, does that mean that we're between town meeting and town election, that if they refuse, then we have to let them proceed as normal? Okay.
So
Thank
that's going back to having a conversation with everybody about how to have that interaction so that
Right.
they can encourage somebody and be successful at it and be polite.
that's
Right.
exactly why I had the public health nurses at the sanitizing station to try and catch that ahead of time between Donna and the school nurses. And they could, at that point, help us, as help us and the volunteers with a direction, whether it's, setting them off to the side the best you can without, like Mike said, doing it discreetly. But, but that's why we were kind of pre-screening without actually pre-screening. It's basically what we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? If not, I guess we'll move on to the indoor option.
So indoor option is going to look an awful lot like the outdoor option. There's a lot of, similarities to the way things get done. I want to thank Jack first, because Jack and I sat down on a Zoom on Monday and kind of went over, with a program that his company has on safety level of the gym for having town meeting. Jack, is there any chance you can explain that program for them a little bit?
Absolutely. So it's a tool developed internally that takes the parameters of the room by volume, number of people, the number of presumed infected folks, the type of activity that's going in there and how that translates into virus transmission, and the duration. So we did a couple different models using the gym, which is 100 feet by 116 by 28 feet, so it's pretty big volume-wise. It also includes the air changes per hour, so how much air is circulating through there plays a big factor in that. Assuming 300 people with one infected person, we kind of tweaked some things to see how it went. And given the volume of the space, unless there was a large number of infected people and the air was basically stagnant, things seemed to be in a, call it, reasonable risk range. So our company uses 0.5 cases after the duration as sort of like the target threshold. I think for most of the ones that we had run, we were below that. I think Chris, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. So thank you again for that, Jack, because it was nice to get that data and see where we would sit with the health risk on it. At any rate, Mike, the plan is not on there, so if you could just bring that up.
Okay. You want your Word version of the interior?
Yes, it says town meeting plan draft 2.
Is that up?
Nope.
No, we still see you, Mike.
Uh-oh. Still me?
Yeah.
Still you.
Mike, can I help?
Go ahead.
I think it's in the agenda packet, right? Chris, are we just looking for the gym?
It should be labeled, town meeting plan draft 2.
Uh,
It's up there, Mike shared with you. right
it's,
tonight.
I have it as one big file. Does it have blue highlight and purple highlight on it?
No. No, that's the map. This is right there. It should say,
Oh, the outline, Mike.
top right one. Yeah, the outline.
The explanation, the word explanation.
Correct.
I can see it fine.
The high school gym?
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So again, it's very similar to the outside setup. All the volunteers wearing reflective vests and official uniform. All volunteers will be screened by nurses upon arrival. Bottled water will be made available to anyone that needs one. And Norton Fire will still be on scene with an ambulance on site for the duration of the event. Again, the NEBA insert members will be coordinating the parking, same lot, and maintaining social distancing with the parking. Walk into the building will be clearly marked with signage and the cones separating them for 6-foot separation. I'm going to try and skip along a little bit here because it's essentially the same. Encouraging citizens to wear a mask or face covering. Outside, the cones set up a 6-foot separation with signage. They're going to keep things orderly. NEMA and CERT will keep things orderly and manage, again, encourage face mask again. Pre-entry screen, it's going to be the hand sanitizing station operated by the public health and school nurses. Again, they're in a little bit of an incognito position because we're going to ask them to screen without being noticed. But, try to, feel people out to see how they're feeling and see what they, how things are going. But they'll be available to take, they'll have thermometers available to take temps if somebody wants it. And they'll also have, they'll be able to answer any questions with regards to symptoms, close contact or that. And then all volunteers on site will be carrying hand sanitizer for anybody that needs it. Check-in, volunteers using masks and gloves while sitting behind the germ guard. From talking to Lucia, we're most likely going to have two aisles, check-in 6 feet apart, everybody's social distanced. And once they're done, they'll have signage to assist them to the gym. Moving on to the entry of the gym. Again, all available volunteers will be there with face masks, face shields, and gloves, guiding residents to the social distance position. And these positions will be marked with the chairs, placed in specific locations to maintain the social distancing. Signage will be in place, all over the place, everywhere you look. During the meeting, residents will raise their hand to be recognized by the moderator to speak, and volunteers will assist with the microphone, and they will be sanitizing the microphone afterwards with a Clorox wipe. Again, I'm speeding through this because it's a repeat mainly of the last one. And then restrooms. There'll be a volunteer at the restrooms, at each restroom, I should say. And they'll be limited to one person in there at a time. There'll be a trash receptacle outside the bathroom to allow for a person that wants to use a paper towel to open the door, then dispose of it. That was a cool thing that Lauren gave us yesterday. Have sanitizer available to wash down surfaces, and hand sanitizer at the door of the gym for re-entry. Cones placed in the hall, again, to maintain the social distancing. And then at the conclusion of the meeting, again, we would ask the moderator if you would make everybody aware that there's an orderly process for leaving the gym, and we'll give him that plan ahead of time, so that we'll review it with the moderator so that they'll understand how we figure it will be the safest way for everybody to be escorted out. Volunteers, again, would escort the residents while maintaining social distancing out of the building and in an orderly fashion. And there will be waste receptacles available for use, gloves, and masks to be disposed of. And the other thing that Wade had mentioned is that we have all entry doors and exit doors in and out of the building, and the gym will be propped open to eliminating having to touch any handles. So with that being said, we can go on to the map of the inside if you want to, Mike, and I again will ask Ray to explain that.
Okay. Ray, is that the same?
It was on the same page, if oh, Mike, yeah.
Okay.
But that was the one that was on the top.
Yeah. Same thing.
There you go.
Let me rotate it for you. Okay.
Okay, so basically we've got in the lower middle, bottom middle there is the parking area, and now the main lot becomes the big point of focus, since this is the closed, spaced out by cones and signage. We give them early warnings of what the requirements are. When they approach the screening / sanitizing station, there will also be signage there, and as we talked about, the health professionals would be able there to answer any questions. Once they pass the screening, they would process, still maintaining the social distancing, through the doors into the registration area, where they would then split into two 6-foot separated registration lines. Again, maintaining that spacing. From there, they would be directed both by signage and volunteers into the gym entrance, where volunteers would then direct them to the seating areas, or the unmasked seating areas, or the visitor seating areas, depending on how we set that up. The two color squares denote, and this would be part of the moderator's opening spiel, would be that everybody to the moderator's left would use the restroom in blue in the upper left-hand corner. Everybody to the right of the moderator would be using the purple restroom out in the hallway to keep separation as much as possible for restroom usage. And again, as we talked, they would be guided by volunteers, and there would be volunteers at each of the restrooms to ensure cleanliness, sanitation, and proper disposal of waste, paper waste. So one thing that just came up today is from the exit standpoint. I think Wade had we had originally said, well, we've only got one way in and one way out, but Wade said there would be no problem using the main entrance and the corridor, which isn't on the map yet. So in other words, coming out of the gym next to the riser on the middle of the point there, and then circling through past the main office, and then back out the main entrance to go back out that way. So that was something that came up today from the school department. We were trying to not utilize that in order from their sanitation plans that they wouldn't have so much of an area to sanitize, but he said that would not be an issue, so we'll throw that into the works as another exit.
All right. So, any other questions on the inside?
And what did we think the capacity would be for the inside?
I would say no more than 300.
Okay,
That's what the software ran, was the 300 for 3 hours.
Plus the square footage. The square footage allowed for, I think, closer to 340 or something like that, but I'd rather just stick with the 300.
okay. Anybody else have any questions? I don't hear anybody, so I assume everybody's happy with the data that they have.
Brad, I
Yes.
would like to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Have we thought about doing a survey, and I don't know if our notification system can do this, to actually do reverse 911 to ask people if they're planning on attending the meeting so we have an idea of the number of folks who will be there?
Well, I think we have a past history of previous meetings, what the attendance has been that the town clerk has provided.
Yeah, and we saw that, but again, that doesn't mean that that's going to represent something during a pandemic. Does our alert system, Chris?
I think it's also going to come down to whether or not the warrant articles are limited to budget items only, or we haven't gotten that far yet either. So I think something like that you really couldn't do until the Board of Selectmen come up with what's going to be on the articles, you know?
So do we have the capability through the notification system for polling options?
I believe we do, don't we, Ray?
I believe so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would suggest that you not run the poll until you decide if it's going to be inside or outside, because I think you might get very different answers depending on what you do. I think you get a different answer for people if it's inside and a different answer if it's outside.
Yeah, I would probably wait almost not to the last minute, but at least a week or so before, because conditions will change.
yeah, no, I totally agree. No matter what we do, we're going to be, I don't know if the correct word is, but turning some people off from going, depending on where it is. Some are going to want to have it outside, some are going to want to have it inside, and we can't make everybody happy right now. But no, I definitely agree that it's going to depend where it is, I think, a lot. Does anybody else have any questions? Questions, comments? Preferences on where people think it should be held, or do you want to work on the warrant and then revisit, depending on what we would decide on the warrant, and revisit the location after?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we have a list of pros and cons of each of the locations. Is that part of the information packet for tonight?
Sorry, Ray, I forgot about it. It is on there.
Oh.
It is on there. I apologize.
Okay. Would somebody like to present that? I have it printed out here, I believe, but I believe Ray signed it. Would you like to present it?
So I'd like to go over your list.
My signature wasn't supposed to be on there.
Oh, Somebody forged your name.
Yeah. I think Chris is quite capable of reviewing the points that we've discussed in our meeting today.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you'd like to expand it or explain it to the people who don't have a copy of it, Chris?
Yeah, so that, Mike has it up on the screen. Kind of going down through, I'll breeze through this a little bit. Ray took the initiative on this, and we all kind of discussed it after the fact. So, under the general conditions portion of these are just some of the things that we looked at, that either the gym or the outside track football field presents viable options. We could do either one. We do have like a 60-40 split on inside outside from the unofficial polls that are going on out in Facebook world. We know that most people have said outside and that they weren't comfortable with inside. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. Both accommodate safely at the anticipated attendance of 100 or more, which I think we'd limit to 300. Both have room to maintain the social distancing. Both facilities will need to be sanitized before and after the meeting. Less so outside than inside. Moderator, town clerk, and possibly council should be on an elevated riser, not the council. I would go with the FinCom. I should have switched that for you, right? Vote counters will also wear PPE. I don't know if it's necessary for me to read every one of these lines. This is a long document. But
Yeah, no, I think just the highlight, the ones you think are most important for us to consider.
I'll go to the pros and cons, because on the gym, the gym is a familiar place for all residents to have attended town meetings. That's the first one. It's in close proximity to the parking lot and accessible parking lot, which makes it easier for seniors. It presents hard boundaries, which helps contain the flow of traffic and keep them in the right direction. Several entrances and exits that are conducive, so we can change. We can set up a flow of traffic.
Chris, I'm sorry. Mike, can you go to the next page, please?
I'm sorry, yeah, scroll down, Mike, where it says gym. The gym also has 2 sets of bathrooms for social distancing, and crowd management is in close proximity. We'll set up the gym seating so that there's several rows of double chairs for couples. That is still up in the air because it changes the matrix of the whole thing. And quite honestly, I just think it's, we're not going to be sleeping over here. I think we should really consider the time that's going to be spent I think we can all be 6 feet apart for a couple of hours, if it goes that long. But that's just my opinion, because it's not an easy thing to set up when you start doubling up chairs and everything. And some of the other things here. Enforcing mask and social distancing, which the masks, again, we can only encourage at this point. The fans for ventilation, it's going to depend on the noise of them too, because we've got to make sure you can hear the moderator over the microphone as well as the guests that are speaking. And then the thing about the inside is there is internet and Wi-Fi available, and also the sound equipment is readily available without renting anything major. The cons for the gym, there's a perception that it's not safe. The gym does get hotter in June because there's no air conditioning, so it would just be the fan system of the heat running ventilation, just from the air through. And then the sound system, fans will be preserved. Some people will perceive the fans as stirring up the germs. The sound system will have to be something. Well, I don't see that. I should have taken that out too. I apologize.
Chris, we still have to rent the microphones and everything for the wireless.
But not the speaker system.
Right.
So I could have fixed that up for you. Video equipment will have to be supplemented with rental equipment. We're not doing the live streaming, as far as I know. As long as we stay within one room, we don't have to live stream to a second room. That's a huge cost savings, because the last time that had to be done, it was $21,000 to do so, between the rental of equipment and the manpower to operate it. Mike, if you could scroll down a little bit more to field and track. Okay, you did. The pros on the field and track surveys say that the people, especially the elderly, feel safer outside. There's more space outside, the natural ventilation is outside, more room for registration, medical screening is outside, and then it's a powerful sound system, which we're still going to have to supplement a little bit. The cons is the weather, and time dependent. We plan on doing a morning, late morning, or mid-morning. I don't know what you guys want to do. That's up to the Board of Selectmen, but I know it was discussed 9 or 10. But the weather is obviously a factor. There's no hard barriers for containing traffic flow. The walk from the parking lot is a long one, although we are considering using the rear parking lot dedicated for the elderly and handicapped to make it easier on them. And while there is 6-foot gates for the bleachers, there's only one 6-foot gate that goes on from the track to the field, right? Is that what that's saying, Ray?
Yeah, that's correct.
There's one ramp entrance to the bleachers, so if we had somebody in a wheelchair and they wanted to sit on the platform, they could, but they're not going to be under a tent. The bleachers would be very hot, so that's another reason why we didn't go with the bleachers, because we can't tent them, and they get hot sitting in the sun. Obviously, another con is we'd have to rent canopies and tents, and that's an expense. What else we got? Projection, we can't, inside we could have a overhead projector, or, we could put the warrant articles up on the screen. Outside, I don't know if that's gonna be doable. It's still something I'm looking into, but it's tough to see that type of thing outside on a screen. But I'm gonna look at any kind of options that we may have. And then the distance from the parking lot, more signage, all that stuff. It's just a little bit more work. The orderly dismissal, trying to keep people from congregating, halfway out to the parking lot, not moving out, that type of thing. That could happen on the inside as well. And then supplementing the sound system with microphones and such. A lot of these are things that we discussed throughout the course of the presentation already. I didn't mention the mosquitoes. I would have, part of the plan was already to have the Bristol County mosquito come out 2 days before and spray the area. So that was going to get taken care of. And I like the idea of offering mosquito repellent and sunscreen. So I don't know whether we have a tent or not. I may do that as well. I'm looking into whether or not we can get any kind of bulk order on both. So with that, again, I'll leave it up for questions. And
Chris, I would just do one thing that we didn't add, which we talked about today, was the lack of Wi-Fi internet access on the field. That we're going to have to come up with a plan to get access to the hotspot or something.
That's true. So yeah.
Why do we need access?
For registration from the iPads that Lucia uses to register people.
Did Sean mention that maybe the ambulance could be used for that?
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, or just a regular hotspot on a phone or something. So I don't think that's a game stopper. I really don't. There's different ways to put up hotspots, whether it's with a vehicle or you can just have a phone there with a hotspot running. I think there's ways around it.
Yeah. The other thing that we didn't talk about was when we put the tent on the field, it cannot be spiked down because of the sprinkler system.
Right.
It has to be
Counterweighted
counterweighted down, and we don't know yet we haven't heard from the pen company whether that's gonna increase the cost or not.
Right. I appreciate that. Thanks, Ray. I forgot about that.
I could also use printed out voter lists. If we can't get a hotspot, it will take longer to check in, but I mean, it's an option.
Will that slow the process down, Lucia?
Yes, it will. Your voter lists are like 500 pages long, where the poll pads, you just type in the name and they pop up and you check them in. So it will take.
Yeah.
It will take longer, but it's doable. It's the way we used to do it, so.
So again, our position on this was to try to show you how it could be done, and show you that we could do it in a safe manner. And it's actually, at this point, we're waiting to see what the board decides as far as indoor, outdoor, what time, when. Final destination in order to move forward with finalizing.
Okay. Thank you, Chris, and I assume Ray, and I'm not sure who else you had working with you, but thank you for all this work.
We had all the key stakeholders in town. Bill well.
Very well thought out.
And anybody on the board have any questions or comments or preferences? Or do you want to,
That idea too.
but do you want to look at the warrant and see if you want to modify the warrant and then come back to the location, or I'm open to suggestions.
Hey, Lucia, we're getting some feedback from you. Can you mute yourself?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, it's Jack.
Yes, Jack.
Mike, have you heard any more about legislation about if there are other venues that's going to be available outside of town? I know they were reconsidering that last week. Has there been any development there?
As of yesterday, nothing, and I haven't heard anything today. I did reach out to Xfinity Center, and they are not opening that. I don't think they're gonna open that all summer. So I know Mansfield is using the Xfinity Center property, but they're just using the parking lot.
Okay.
You know what they did, what days is their meeting, Mike?
I'm not sure. I forget. I'll have to double check.
Yeah, I wonder if we can piggyback off of theirs. Split the tent with them or something.
Well, first of all, we'd have to find out if we can go out of town.
Oh, yeah. Always a man for the details.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
know there was a concern that the governor had closed the schools until the end of June. And so do we have an issue using the school as it stands right now? I mean, is that going to be kosher for us to actually be on school property when it's technically closed through the end of the year?
Yeah, most of the towns that we heard from are having it on school property.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I think,
Yes.
Brad, what I heard you say earlier that what I liked was, the next we do, we're not going to be able to make everybody happy. In my mind, I think we need to consider what is the safest option for folks to come. And I think Chris and his team have done a great job putting together two very solid options, very well thought out. In my mind, I know I prefer it outdoors. I think that helps things substantially. I'd be more comfortable with that.
I agree with Jack. I prefer it outdoors as well.
Yeah, as do I.
I think everybody knows what my position has been, so make that 4.
You want it inside, right?
Right. I want it inside in June, actually, instead of outside in July.
Was that a motion that I heard?
I mean, I'm an old timer, so I like things to stay the same no matter what's going on in the world. So it takes an awful lot for me to say that outside would be fine, but I can definitely see the reasons not to be inside and would go along with the outside town meeting. So if that's the feeling of the board, the chair would entertain a motion.
Wait, Brad,
Yes,
before we entertain it, we want to talk about time so we can do it in one motion.
okay. What time do you want to have it?
I'd say morning before it gets super hot, 9 or 10. I'll throw that out there and we can whittle it down.
I agree with that. I'd say 9 or 10 as well.
Yeah, I would go 9:30 to, yeah, maybe a little bit later. I think the registration process is going to take longer than anyone's anticipated.
I'd say plan for a 10 o'clock start. I like double digits.
Yeah. My personal opinion is I think it's going to get longer to get the thing off the ground and started. So I think I would start out with a earlier start time with the idea that the moderator is probably going to have to delay the start to allow all the people in line to get checked in. So I would personally go more for 9:30 with the idea that it's probably not going to start until 10:30 anyways.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, it's good.
I can tell you from painful experience that the thing that makes town meeting members and attendees more angry than anything else is when the moderator delays the meeting. So, but I think you're right. I think it's going to be a slow process. And boy, do I know when to retire, or do I know when to retire? I mean, this was, a great move. But I think that's going to be a problem. But by the same token, I'm not sure that the attendance is going to be as overwhelming as it might be in other situations. But I just mentioned that to you because I agree that starting a little early and delaying is probably a good idea. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, and I would give it serious consideration, although I believe it's generally up to the moderator once the meeting gets going. But we've discussed this before, but in my mind, if there's an added expense, there is no reason whatsoever to televise the town meeting live. Because if you tape the town meeting, you will still get to watch it probably more times than you really want to later on. And if you watch it live, it doesn't give you any advantage over watching it on tape. And I think having town meeting televised live discourages attendance at the town meeting. I think it's sort of like the NFL blackout rule. They black out the game at home because they know if they put it on TV and the game's not sold out, that people aren't going to go. And I think it's the same general thing. It's not that I don't want people to see their government in action. I do want them to see their government in action, and they can see that watching this tape over and over and over again. But, and if it doesn't cost anything, then you might think about it, although I still think that the blackout thing applies. But if it does, I strongly urge you, two things: start early, and and that way you'll get out earlier, and don't go to any great trouble to try to get that thing televised, because you want the people there, you don't necessarily want them at home.
I definitely agree. And yeah, I mean, personally, I'm probably going to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning anyway, so 9 o'clock to me, I think is a good idea, put as a starting time. And if by chance we get everybody there checked in by 9 o'clock, more power to us, and we can get out of there probably before the heat of the afternoon sets in and warms up the air. But it's amazing, Bill. We actually agreed on something.
It's a first for everything, Brad.
Hey, Brad, can I ask two questions?
Yes.
Or one comment. I think in the communication that goes out that we explain to people that we expect the check-in will take longer, and ask them, to arrive earlier and give them an estimated time. And then I'd like to ask Lucia, if we, whatever the meeting time is, what time, like how long does it take for them to set up and be ready to go to actually start registering people? Because, you know, if it's like 3 hours and they have to be there at 6 a.m., I think we need to take that into consideration. Lucia, are you still on?
So there, she's on mute. There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. It takes no time, Renee. It's not a 3-hour thing. If it's going to go at 9, we'll be there at 8 and just set up whatever we have to set up. And it's not a problem at all. It's quick.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That would be my preference, like 9 o'clock is fine with me, but 9:30 if you want, but I'd rather have the extra time to delay, but much rather be surprised and have people show up on time early and get checked in so we can get going before the heat of the day sets in.
Well, and you know, it's probably going to be our luck too that it's going to be like one of the nicest days in June. And
This is
people are going
true.
to want to leave. So, I mean, I'm fine with 9 if everybody else is.
Maybe instead of tents, we should set up swimming pools.
Yeah, with chlorine, it'll kill the virus.
I'll ask the rental company if they have a dunk tank.
There you go.
And people would show
Probably
up.
dump the moderator,
Yeah.
going,
Oh, what if that's a good idea? Dunk the former moderator. You want people to come, Bill?
You can solve that budget deficit over time.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be up bright and early, get my coffee and honeydew, and I'm gonna be there.
Okay, so we've talked about it. Now, do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we hold the Springtown meeting on June 27th at 9 o'clock in the morning at the high school football field and track.
Second.
Okay, and I hear it from Mary. Is there any other further questions or comments? If not, Renee,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jack,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
I'll also vote yes. Okay. Okay, unless we have anything else to speak about on the scheduling of the town meeting, we can get on the warrant. I'm sure I'll see you at the town meeting, Bill, but if not, thank you for your input from your knowledge of town meetings as the moderator, and congratulations on getting out just in time.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, I want to say thank you to the health agent and to Ray Cord and to the 2 chiefs and all the people that have all the volunteers that have put so much time into planning and have tried to be so thorough and do all that. We're lucky to have them, and I thank them very much. I thank the board for all the cooperation and you know, I would say I'm sorry for all the angst I've caused you, but I'm probably not, so I won't say that. But thank you, thank you very much. It's been one of the great privileges of my life to serve as the town's moderator. And one last thing to tell you as you go in, when you do the budget, and I will talk to the 2 moderator candidates because it's up to them. But one way that you may want to handle the budget is, how we used to go through the budget line by line, and then a few years back, I changed it so we just went page by page. You may want to make sure that if everybody's got a copy of the budget when you're in, you may just want the moderator just open it up and say, does anybody have any questions on any part of the budget? And just take it that way, and you may speed up the process, greatly. So that's my final bit of advice. But thank you very much, especially you, Brad. We've been around a long time. We've been doing all this stuff for a long time, so I really appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody on the board, and the town manager, and everybody who works so hard. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Congratulations.
Hey, Bill, are you hanging on for a bit?
I am.
Okay, I'll ask a question then when actually, let me ask one question now, because you made comment about the budget, making sure everybody had a printed copy. Is it a requirement, do you know, that we have to project up on the screen? Like, do we have to worry about some sort of projection system? I know Lauren talked about it on the call yesterday, but I don't remember if she said it's mandatory.
If it was, we'd probably all be in jail for years now, because half the time at the town meetings it didn't work, or we had technical difficulties. So it's certainly a good idea, and but I don't think it's a requirement. But I mean, look, I'm trying not to say anything political or anything, but in the past we've passed things that we didn't have copies of in front of us. So I don't think that you're running the risk. You certainly want to have as much information in the hands of the people as you can, and a copy of the budget, a copy of the warrant would be very important. But you know, the thing is, you're in an unusual time, to say the least, and I don't think too many people will object to anything of the process. So I think that the answer to your question is no. I don't think you have to have it. It's probably a good idea if you could, but I don't think you have to.
Okay, I think we're all in the same mindset that we want the warrant that's being presented to be the warrant that's printed, so that we don't have that issue again. So I think that will help us if we don't project.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Well, while we have Chris here before, I don't know if he's planning on dropping off, but is there anything we need to consider with printed warrants? So if we're putting these things in everybody's hands, and I think that people are going.
I thought of it, we started talking about handouts. I'm not a huge fan. I'm still going to look into a way to do a projection. I haven't finished looking into that part. I mean, it's tough to say. It's tough to say. It really is.
It is, because the governor's provision for open meeting law, he cited in there that you shouldn't have any handouts, right? Like when he changed that early on in the pandemic.
Right.
The question is can they be printed earlier, and then you still have to worry about handing them or people grabbing them, or.
I mean, the other option is that everybody has a smartphone nowadays, and they can go onto the town website and look at it there. I guess we could post it on there to try to eliminate people touching the documents. But that's something I think we'll have to work on, I guess. If I can get a way to project it, I'd rather do that, because a lot of seniors don't understand the smartphones and how they could look it up on there. And so
I think probably if we relied on smartphones, we'd probably get into the same problems of asking people who are ill not to attend, or to sit in a certain place.
Right.
So.
Maybe it's an option if they want to take a hard copy, they can.
Exactly, but have it available online.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Brad,
Yes, Mike.
do you want to make a rain date of Monday, the 29th at 6?
What's the what's the feeling of the board?
I think that would be.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mike?
I said I think that would be prudent. Yeah, even though we have the tents, it's sloppier getting on and off the field, and people who may have compromised mobility may struggle more in muddy and wet conditions. So just something to consider, because it is a long walk from the parking lot.
Anyone else want to voice an opinion? If not, Chair would entertain a motion to have a rain date of Monday, I forget the date, June 29th at 6 o'clock.
So moved, just with one amendment, that it be at the high school track and football field.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Renee?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I'll also vote yes. Okay. Okay, we're all done then, right? That was my little bit of levity for the day. Okay. move
Guys
on
got a
to-
motion to adjourn.
Wishful thinking.
I can't stop somebody from making such a motion.
Got me, Brad.
Move on to the, we only need a second. Review and a vote on town meeting articles in the FY 2021 budget. Ms. Units.
What I was hoping that you could do tonight, can you see, am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Assuming that you want to show us the article list, yes.
Yeah, if you can look at the article list and what you'll see, Article 2, Chapter 90, that's a standard article. Retirement expense, collective bargaining agreements, tree service, and then you get into the budgets, the water, sewer, the operating budget, and capital. I'm not sure. I can let you know by next Thursday whether we're gonna need anything under the retirement expense. The others, then when you get to the next group, I know building committee is meeting Tuesday night. So with the next group, 10 through 14, it's really a matter of the building committee and school committee deciding if they agree to pull those articles off the warrant for now.
Okay.
Then Article 15, you'll need, it's a water and sewer article for the West Main Street sewer project. And 16 is just you agreed, previously you voted to entertain an agreement for a 20-year lease of antenna space on the water towers. And because it's a 20-year agreement, it has to be approved by town meeting. 17, I'll be in discussion with the water bodies. I'm not sure we're gonna have money to fund that right now. That may have to wait until October. And 18, I'll check with the town accountant and see if we have any prior year bills that that he knows about. And then the zoning articles are all the last articles, so
Okay.
So any thoughts from the board?
So we want to sit upon the first 9, if possible?
Well, no, I just, right now, you just got the warrant rally today. So
Okay.
if you just give me your thoughts on what you think about delaying some of those, like Articles 10 through 14. And then I'll approach the building committee and the school department, the superintendent on those.
Does anyone on the board have an opinion they'd like to voice?
I mean, we've talked about this before in respect to the budget being in deficit and bringing something forward. I think this is more of a controversial item, and if our purpose here is to, limit the amount of attendees and focus only on what is absolutely needed, I would be in favor of moving this. Mike, I would ask though, I can't remember how Lauren phrased this, about being specific that it would be, did she say either on a special town meeting to be decided upon at a different date or a fall special town? I can't remember what she said on this, because it has, like, we have to guarantee to the folks who have put these forth that we will be hearing them, or they will be on the next warrant.
The next warrant. She mentioned something about referring them back to committee. I'll double check with her on the exact, have her send exact terminology on that.
Yeah, I remember that for the zoning ones. I didn't remember for the others, for a debt exclusion or.
You would, if you pull them off this, you would have to agree to put them on another warrant.
I mean, to me, it makes sense. If it's something that's not absolutely necessary that we take care of right away, that by delaying action to a future town meeting, I think you're going to give more people the opportunity to feel comfortable to come to voice their opinions.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, while I tend to agree with you, where I get torn on this is that putting forth what it could be a considerable expense to put this on. And I know that the primary driver is to get what we need to get done and getting people moved through as quickly as possible. But it is, we are bearing up a big expense to move it for maybe a 15-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Well, if you did the zoning articles, they could take some time.
No, I do get all that. I didn't realize what it would cost to
Rent a tent?
yeah, to do everything we need to do to get this thing off the ground.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think land acquisition, I would definitely consider postponing those because I don't think we're going to be financially in any position to even consider funding any of these things. And I don't foresee a override as an option at this time also with the way the economy has gotten hit.
Right.
Well, the other thing too, Mike, while I understand what you're saying in respect to expense, if you remember, the largest town meeting was the June 3rd meeting on this same topic. And I can't remember if that was 300 or 500 attendees, but I think that's going to increase.
You know,
overall.
it was, I am certainly not against moving most of these things away. It just was, just a comment more than than anything else.
No, I appreciate that. But I think that most of them are mute right now, you know, land acquisition especially because of the financial times. If, like on a zoning one, if we can pick and choose if there's something that the zoning board feels that or planning board feels is important to have done right away, we could put one or two or all of them on. But if they, as being the ones that are putting it forth, feel that it can wait, then I think it makes sense to wait until people feel more comfortable in a town meeting setting.
Hey, Mike, for the ones that are related to the community center and town hall, how many of those were actually submitted by a board or a member body or a member board, whatever it's called? Because I thought that we put in the land acquisition. Did that come from them specifically?
Let me see.
Because my understanding is it's anything, right, that has been voted on or put forth by a public body.
Article 10 is Permanent Building Committee. Article 11 is the School Committee. 12, it says 12 is Board of Selectmen and Permanent Building Committee, as well as 14. 13 is Permanent Building Committee.
I think that's why Mr. Units indicated he was going to contact them and get their feelings on it.
No, understood. But if there was one that was specifically from us, we could take it off right now if we all agreed, or if we had majority agreement.
Yeah. Personally, if there's whichever one that we put on were the sole initiators, I would say take it off. But
So I think that was
you know,
15 or 12.
how about if as the Board of Selectmen, we vote to remove our endorsement of any of the land acquisition warrant articles, because I would assume that if it's proposed by more than one board or committee, that both of them would have to vote to remove it. So I would entertain a motion
Have we voted?
to remove it.
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Yes,
this is Dinah O'Brien, Chairman of the Building Committee.
yes.
And the Building Committee did present all this material to the Board of Selectmen for your pleasure back in February, I believe.
That's right.
The Building Committee's name is on the warrant articles for presentation in conjunction with the Board of Selectmen. At this point, the board is meeting Tuesday evening. However, it is my understanding from the consensus of the board that the disposition of these articles is completely up to the Board of Selectmen and whether you want to keep them on this town meeting or postpone them to a fall town meeting after this crisis is over and we know where we better stand with the current budget. To that point, if it was my recommendation to you, Mr. Chairman, I would not withdraw your approval of these articles,
I didn't mean
but
it.
simply postpone them.
Okay.
You know what I
Thank
mean?
you. Thank you for my misspeaking.
Oh,
I didn't mean to withdraw our proposal to support, but to withdraw our inclination to present it at this time and to postpone it.
thank you.
You can tell I am not an English major.
Neither am I.
But if the board is willing to do that, the chair would entertain a motion to propose that the Articles 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 be postponed until a later town meeting.
So moved.
Anyone
Second.
second that?
Sorry, second.
Any discussion? Hearing
My
none.
only,
Yes,
sorry, Brad,
Renee.
my only comment here is that, since the permanent building committee is meeting, that this is discussed with them and just that they agree to the change as well. I mean, I wouldn't want them to think that they don't have a say. I know what Dinah said, but they've done a lot of work on this, and it's certainly not, it's not an easy decision, but, I don't want them to think that we don't care about it, because we certainly do, and I think that, both are needed for the town, but with the current environment and safety being really the priority for this next meeting, it's our opinion that these should be delayed.
I appreciate that. I'm sure that
Echo Renee's sentiments there. Having had the good pleasure to work alongside the PVC for several months now, I know how much effort and dedication they put into preparing these proposals for us. So it's just important that they understand that it's not a reflection on the quality of the work or the necessity of these buildings. It's just a matter of the worst timing in history.
Speaking on behalf of the Building Committee, the Town Hall Senior Center project is number 3 on our agenda for Tuesday evening. And we certainly understand that this is the worst possible time to bring a large ticket item forward to the community. I would just urge the selectmen to postpone to a time as certain as you can make it, since this is a can that has been proverbially kicked down the road since 1985. And the cost just continues to escalate. So I would just encourage you all to not put this on the very back burner, but put it on the right-hand side of the stove on the front so that you pick it up as soon as you can.
I think we all appreciate that fact, and it's not our intention to take it off the stove at all, as much as just the fact that we want to wait until it's more feasible.
Completely understandable.
And I hope you can express that to your members at your meeting, the fact that we do appreciate all the time and effort that you've put into this, and we just want to give it a fair shake at a more financially reasonable time.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Brad,
Yes, Renee?
kind of off topic, but did we ever vote on the choices?
No.
Okay, so there's still some work for us to do?
Correct.
Okay, so I would say in light of that, if we can make sure within the next month or so that we have this as an agenda item, so we can make sure that we keep some progress on it.
And some guidance maybe to the committee of maybe what our idea of the best route is, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Zach Tillis, touching on Mr. Flaherty's comments, if all these articles are stripped down to basically a few budget articles, I would have the board consider spending the money on tents and all that. Still continue to have it outside, but if people are gonna be out there for 10, 15 minutes on a couple of articles, I just don't see spending, I don't know what it is, $10,000, $15,000 on all that. Just a comment.
And I appreciate that. And while we've set the time, the date, we really haven't set the setup. And we can discuss that after we get more feedback from the health agent and the committee that's putting it together. Does the Board of Selectmen agree with me on this?
Yeah, Brad, I mean, we did vote on it and voted to be outside, but we don't, according to Lauren, we don't have to we just have to put the high school and we can decide those details. But I think that we provided enough direction from the board so that the folks planning it can proceed. I think one of the things, again, we talked about a survey out to people to see how many people are planning on attending outside. So I think with more information, we can always change that. But at this point, we did vote to have it at the high school at a certain time and on the track and field.
Right, but we did not vote to erect tents or anything like that.
No.
That's all I'm saying. We can still have it on the field, but we don't have to go to the expense of tents possibly. And that was why at the time we were discussing that, I had suggested maybe we go to the warrant first to find out what the warrant consisted of before we got into final planning of the meeting itself.
Yeah, agree. I think we have time to do that, and we'll have a better sense of what the long-range forecast may be for that day. Well, I'm sure 100% accurate, but as to what it should look like, and we can make decisions with a little more information at that time.
I wouldn't be comfortable with their forecast at 6 o'clock in the morning if it's starting at 9.
Oh, probably some of snow.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Gugia.
Again, just from experience, I will tell you that if the zoning articles stay on the warrant, my opinion is that you'll triple the attendance. You'll increase the possible problems by 10 times. You'll very much increase the possibility of the need to conduct a ballot vote, which would be a nightmare for everyone, including especially the town clerk and her workers. Even conducting a 2/3 vote, would require the workers walking through the crowd and doing all those things. If you get a 15-minute meeting, with all due respect to democracy and discussion, it would be the largest if the town has gotten in many, many years. So I'm very worried that, and I brought it up with the town council when we were on a previous meeting of yours, and I'm very worried that those zoning articles don't get bumped out so that they have to wait 2 years and the people who have put so much work into them get, changed. And it may take you talking to the moderator, and for the moderator to actually, if the planning board doesn't vote to remove them, that it may take having the moderator actually just declare that we're referring them back to committee and banging the gavels quickly. You know, and that may be what it takes, but whatever you have to do, I'm urging you in the strongest possible way from experience and pain, don't let those stay on there or else plan for a whole different kind of meeting.
I appreciate your input and couldn't agree with you more. So.
I'm with you on that, Bill.
Bill, I think we have additional questions to ask Lauren too, because I thought she said the zoning articles we could not remove. However, we could communicate that we were going to refer them back. And from what she had said in that regard, I didn't get the impression that anybody could try to move them, but we should clarify that. And then again, communicate appropriately.
I can tell you that from my discussions, people have asked me about possibly moving. So that's why I bring that up. You know, once you get on the floor of town meeting with articles that are still on the warrant, and particularly in a new and confusing situation, and with all due respect, I'm sure whoever's elected moderator is going to do a fantastic job, but it's still there for this meeting. So it's a recipe for real problems. But I think, you know, I'm sure the town manager will talk to town council, and I'm sure Lauren, with all her tremendous experience, knows how to do that and get it referred back without affecting the status.
Brad?
Yes.
If I could suggest, the planning director is on vacation this week. If we could leave these until next week. Your meeting next Thursday. In the meantime, we'll get the written opinion from Lauren on the process to follow and make sure we do everything correct if you do decide not to move forward with these articles.
Okay. In the meantime, I think we have a motion and a second to remove 10 through 14, not remove them, but delay them to a later date. So if there are no further questions, I'd like to go to the vote on that before I forget where I am. Renee?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So we have voted to delay action on the warrant articles 10 through 14 to a later date. Okay. Is there anything else that you feel we should act upon tonight, Mr. Units?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to question or comment on? Or
So is Article 15 there? Is that in respect to more money?
It is. I'll have the water and sewer department at next Thursday's meeting. So that's for the West Main Street sewer project.
Is that the second or third time they've come back for more for that one?
I don't want to speak wrong, but I think it's the third.
I'm pretty sure it's a third.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason, their bidding process never seems to come in with a firm bid. There's too many loopholes in it.
And on Article, just one quick thing on Article 17, I'll talk to the Water Bodies Committee and the consultant and the company handling the treatments. I believe we have enough to cover the treatments through this summer. I just want to make sure that they don't have anything that they were planning to do in the fall before October. I don't think they have anything, so hopefully this can wait until October.
Yeah, I thought that this was the last year of the funding.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from anyone else?
Do you know if the planning board is feeling confident in their ability to present these 5 zoning articles. I know you said Paul's on vacation this week, but the last 2 meetings we've had have not gone smoothly for that.
Yeah, I have not had a conversation with Paul about that since they voted on these.
So Jack, from what I saw, I mean, in respect to these articles, specifically the village center, because those are their articles, the other ones are from the IDC. 23 is theirs too, but the 19 and 20, they presented it multiple times, very successfully. So I would have confidence in that.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up? While we don't have it listed on the agenda about Selectmen's report and mail, I did receive a letter today. I just wanted to put it out there. The fact that Richard Leash, who was our representative on the GATRA board, was a board member, passed away, and we need to appoint a new member to the GATRA advisory board. And if worse comes worse temporarily, I can attend those meetings, but I'd like to open that up to anybody in the community who might be willing to fill that post, to contact the Board of Selectmen by sending a letter of interest to the town hall at our attention, and just indicate that you would be willing to take that post over. And their next meeting is scheduled for June 22nd. So I just wanted to get that out there so that if anyone out there is willing to represent the town in regards to the GATRA buses, that they send in a letter to us. And in the meantime, if we don't get a citizen willing to fill that position, could the board temporarily appoint me as the member of the GATRA advisory board? And let someone else. Yeah, was that Jack?
That was me. So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Renee says yes.
Yeah, I'm not voting. So, I'm trying to think. If Mr. Eunice could let Jen know that they need to get a letter indicating that I will be representing the town.
Okay.
Until a new person can be found.
Brad, you
Okay.
still have to do a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. My ears were just picking up voices and I figured I knew it. Renee?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured everybody stab me in the back and make me do it anyway. So, Jack,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I'm going to abstain. Okay. If no one has anything else, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have one announcement. Sorry.
Okay, Jack, no problem.
So the high school is holding a graduation parade this Saturday at 10 o'clock. The graduates will be in their vehicles from the JS to LG North School. So not looking for people to join the vehicle parade, but if anybody wants to line up along the parade route, which I believe is published online, they're encouraged to do so while maintaining social distancing and try to give these kids a little bit of good cheer since they're ending a very odd year for their high school career. So congratulations to all those that are graduating.
Thank you for announcing that, Jack. High school graduation, I mean, that's one of the highlights to your life. And I can't imagine being deprived of that by these strange times. But, okay,
So Brad, before you ask for that motion again, I thought we have like another 20 pages of the budget. I thought we were gonna review the budget.
oh, I'm sorry, we do. You don't have it all memorized, Renee?
Right.
Okay, Mr. Units, would you like to take us through the budget?
Okay. So you have you should have a budget worksheet in front of you. And the Finance Committee has reviewed the budget and they've made all their recommendations except next Wednesday, Southeastern Regional is presenting, so they'll be doing Southeastern Regional and the Regional Agricultural School, and also Water and Sewer next week. And
Mike,
so,
can you share your screen?
sure. Right on. First section of the budget is fixed and shared expenses. And under the fixed and shared expenses is the maturing debt. So that's under that maturing debt, 711, it's maturing principal on long-term debt. And this is, the recommendation is, as agreed also by the Finance Committee, is $1,761,774.
Mike, can you zoom in, please? Just a touch.
Say that again?
Can you zoom in?
Sure.
Well, that's a lot.
All right. And
Can you take it?
go ahead.
Wait, it's still, the screen's still changing. Is the last column changed fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 20?
Yeah, that's just this sheet, when this was done, I didn't have this doesn't have the Finance Committee recommendations. So the columns, the change doesn't really equal anything yet, because you don't have their, once the Finance Committee's recommendation, and then those sheets would make, that last column would make more sense. And the repayment of temporary loans is $128,862. So the total under maturing debt is $1,890,636. And then
Why is that so different than the last 2 years?
there's a couple projects that they borrowed for that are short-term borrowing. Let me see if I have it in her budget sheet. I think one was library AC. If you think I had to zoom in, this is smaller. I know there were two small projects that, one can't be to read. That was it. And it's a short-term note. So that's what the difference is.
Recipe, like the blue adjective.
Okay. And the next section is interest. And so you have interest on long-term debt, $535,290. And interest on notes, $34,262. And then employee benefits has 3 sections. The first section that you see, the personnel services, that's our Bristol County retirement expense. And then other personnel services. So the Bristol County retirement expense is $3,125,329. And other personal services, that's our health insurance, is $7,763,285. And charges and expenditures, $525,000. And the charges and expenditures is the retiree health insurance. And unemployment, we put in 80,000. And then miscellaneous, that's all the fuel for the vehicles, 126,000. And charges and expenditures are all other insurances that the town has, workers' comp, liability insurance, property and casualty insurance, police and fire insurance. And unfortunately, a lot of that's driven by, we have 3 long-term workers' comp claims right now. That's really driving that up. And also, we had some police and fire issues that have driven up that cost.
Plus, the market is just very hard right now, and everything's getting very expensive. So, not expected.
Mike, on the unemployment comp, that's all town employees?
It is.
Is that enough heading into what we're heading into?
Well, we will have to see what happens, and maybe make adjustments in the fall. It's been more than enough, obviously, over the last few years. As you can see, through December, we only spent 16,000. So it'll all depend on what finally happens, whether a budget get approved, and if there's enough retirements, and there don't have to be a lot of layoffs as far as teachers. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Quite possibly might have to go up. Okay, the next section of the budget . This is a small section. This is just miscellaneous town offices and boards. So the finance committee, $1,710. That's mostly staff cost for the finance committee. Zoning Board of Appeals, $300. Tree warden, $2,000. And then for memorial and vets, $2,000. Any questions on that?
It says on that last one, am I reading this right? Oh, no. Sorry, the column moved. Never mind. I saw that 500 and I wasn't sure what it was attached to, where your mouse is. That was my mouse, I'm sorry. Do we have these particular sheets in our packet?
I don't know if you have them broken down. Do you have this? Did you get this broken down, or do you just have all the budget sheets? I can send this to you.
Yeah, if you could, I don't see them in the,
I'll send it updated with the finance committee recommendations.
okay, because there are a lot of other different sheets and there's a lot of colors, and so I thought we were gonna go through those. I wasn't quite sure what all the colors meant.
Okay.
I'm looking to see if we have them. There's just a lot to go through.
All right.
The ones that you have in colors, Renee, that's not the capital expense, the capital budget, is it?
Let me scroll back down to it. Like I started,
Yeah,
like the
'cause
Board of Selectmen is where mine starts.
Yeah, right, that's what I had here. To tell you the truth, I've got so many papers, I didn't print these today, I printed them the other day when I was watching the finance committee meeting, but we did have a capital improvement meeting beginning of the week, and those spreadsheets have colors like pink, yellow, green, orange. That's the only ones that I was just wondering if maybe those might. I didn't print those tonight either. I'm trying to save paper. I'm actually reusing some of them instead of throwing them out and printing them again.
Yeah, I see some color on the 5-year capital improvement program. Looks like it's under the fire department only. And then
Yeah,
some
no,
at the end, but I saw some throughout too.
Yeah, no, in the capital improvement one, there was a lot of colors having to do with where the money was coming from, things like that.
Yeah, there's some too on like the, it says, oh, it's all over the place. Some earlier in the packet.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
I thought it was going to help out, but I just screwed it up a little more.
This section, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the fixed general government expenses. So this is the finance committee's reserve fund, $150,000. Legal services, $90,000. Tax title foreclosure, $45,000. Elections, $65,480. And you can see there's a big jump there. That's because this year is the presidential election. So she has three primary, the town election. She'll have a primary and she'll have the November election. So then the Southeast Regional Planning and Economic Development Agency, $3,654. They do a great job for us, and they've done a number of things this year for us. And the town report is $2,000.
Are we required to print that?
Yes. Yeah, we tried. We had tried that. And remember, Brad? We tried
to get it.
Yeah.
Get out of that. Had to try to have it electronic online, and I believe it's part of the charter, but I'm not sure.
No, it's state law.
Oh, state law.
Yeah.
Do they require how many copies we have to print? Can we just do one?
Yeah.
We had looked at things like that, but it got to a point where you had to get a certain number, otherwise you were paying for nothing.
That's what it is, Jack. There's a minimum for the printers, and so we do get the minimum.
Okay.
We always have a few boxes. All right. The next section. I'm slow at this. So this section is all the town departments, including the library. So the first section is Board of Selectmen and personnel services, $60,059, and charges and expenditures, $3,160. So the total is $63,729. And town manager is personnel services, $262,133 for salaries, and charges and expenditures, $14,750, for a total of $276,883. Town accountant, $216,183 for personal services. Purchase of services, which is the audit, $26,000, and charges and expenditures, $3,760, for a total of $245,943. And then assessors, personnel services, $162,206, charges and expenditures, $34,578, for a total of $196,784. Treasurer collector, personnel services, $228,275, and charges and expenditures, $53,594, for a total of $281,869. Data processing, $29,155 for personal services, and then charges and expenditures, $403,534. And town clerk, $113,661 for personal services, and charges and expenditures, $10,719, for a total of $124,380.
Mike, quick question. On the town accountant personnel services, salaries, does that line include?
Great.
Okay.
Mike, can I ask, so looking at these, while I appreciate that all the charges and expenditures look like they're much lower, why are all but one for personnel services increased?
The town clerk's personnel services went down because she has an unfilled position in her office, and so we didn't fill that position.
Okay, and then why are the others going up if we're about to head into a recession? Like, why aren't we trying to do everything we can so that we're in a better position to employ people when we start to feel the hurt of the lost revenue?
Yeah, just because contractual requirements, and also, where we kind of go back, like next year, we're looking at will be a year that it will be less likely that people would be able to get pay raises.
Well, I understand that, but so my concern is, so every one of those increases is based on a contractual agreement?
It is.
And then what happens, I mean, now you're talking about not having raises. Well, how do we not give raises in the future if it's contractual?
Well, because that's something that we will have to negotiate with the employees going forward. But the chances of, I really don't want to talk too much about negotiations in open session, but obviously getting 2 years of a zero is a lot tougher than.
I mean, I totally understand, and maybe it's worth us getting an executive session next week to talk about this. I mean, my concern is, again, you know, and you see this with most companies, right? Like they're freezing raises, freezing hiring so that, you know, when it comes next year, you can employ more people, maybe at the same rate, but you reduce the amount of people that you have to actually lay off.
Well, because we're kind of the opposite of companies. We have, our revenue comes from, so companies, when things turn around, they'll be getting raises before we get raises because it takes a while for the economy, business to get busy again and start building, and then that money starts coming into the towns. Our money is based on what happens in the previous year. But we can have that conversation.
Yeah, I would definitely like to have that under executive session next week, just to understand. I think our goal would try to keep everybody as gainfully employed as long as possible. And just what I'm seeing in other towns and what they're going through, I see a whole lot of individuals that are either volunteering to decline pay increases or being asked to flat out or take a reduction in order to maintain level staffing. So not confirming that any of that needs to happen here, but I think we just need to understand what the future is going to look like.
So Mike, we can do that next week. Do we need town council for that?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the next section is Conservation Commission, Personnel Services, $123,094. Charges and expenditures, $17,986. So the total is $141,080. And Planning Board, charges and expenditures, personal services, $119,642, and charges and expenditures $5,025 for a total of $124,667. Municipal building maintenance charges and expenditures $207,500. And then, I don't know why police isn't showing up there. Under police, 210. Under personnel services, $3,592,120, and charges and expenditures, $212,850. It's a total of $3,804,970. And the fire department, under personnel services, $3,974,917, and charges and expenditures $200,840, for a total of $4,175,757. And then emergency medical services, charges and expenditures $143,900. And then emergency planning, $7,400.
Mike, can you explain the personnel services increase in both the police and the fire departments? They seem significantly high. I don't know what their percentages to these guys, but
Their percentage increases, they were reduced by the 90,000. So their contractual increases, all that was in there, which would be 2% for salaries and whatever stipend increases there were.
And then the fire department, I know we voted previously for 2 positions that we discussed potentially not having the funding for moving forward. Is that why that number is so high?
No, that isn't why. It's just high because of the contractual increases. Because they have positions, they were able to keep every position that they had.
I could run the percentages on those two lines earlier. Fire is going up 2.66% and police is 2.75 for personnel services. And that is the town manager recommendation versus the year 20 budget appropriation.
The next section is inspections, personnel services, $221,961, and charges and expenditures, $21,350, for a total of $243,311. The communications center is personnel services, $147,330. That's for, we're covering July, August, and September in that budget, and hoping that we're then in the SEMREC, which would be the regional dispatch, and our assessment through SEMREC will be at $508,782. Animal control personnel services, $67,436, and charges and expenditures, $13,628, for a total of $81,064. And then highway personnel services, $824,750. Charges and expenditures, $102,050. Surface treatment, $8,000, and repairs to private ways, $1,000, for a total of $935,800. So the $1,000 is a requirement that they put in the budget every year in case they have to do any work to make a private way safe for emergency vehicle travel. Snow removal, $80,000. And then the Board of Health Personal Services, $162,375, and charges and expenditures, $10,025, for a total of $172,400.
Mike, on the inspection department line item, that seems high. It's just under 13%. Are we adding staff or hours?
There's our plumbing and gas inspector, $17,000. And they only get, that's an estimate. They only get paid if they come in. So if the inspections don't go as we think, if the economy doesn't keep going and the inspections are down, we won't be spending that money, but that's a extra in the budget.
And how much did you say that was, Mike?
17,000.
And then, I'm sorry, Jack, are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Can you explain on the communication center? So we saved $478,000, but then we have an additional $457,000.
So we saved the 478 because our salaries will be going down, but then we have our assessment to SEMREC when we move over there. So in the future, we won't have any salaries under communication. It'll just be a assessment to the SEMREC dispatch center.
So what cost savings do we have from this program? Because I thought it was going to be in like the 400,000 range.
I can show you as a comparison. Is that sharing it?
Estimated dispatch savings?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so if we ran a full-time dispatch for a year, salaries and wages would be $562, part-time wages $20,000, overtime $85,000, longevity, $3,850, and health insurance, $97,488. So about $768,338. And then the other personnel, the other charges and expenditures, $15,000 for repair maintenance of equipment, uniform clothing allowance, $5,250, office supplies, $1,000, seminars and conferences, $2,000, dues and membership, $1,500, and training, $2,500. So the charges and expenditures would be estimated at $27,250. So a Norton dispatch would cost us $795,588 a year, and our summer assessment is $508,781.65. So the savings is about $287,000, $286,806.35.
And also, I think when we first talked about going into the summer, that's all modern, today equipment, which is something that we would have to upgrade to and bear the expense of that, correct?
Correct. The technology they're going to have over there, when they finish the center, I'm sure they'll have a tour. But the technology, would be a huge upgrade for us, a huge expense.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Chief.
how are you?
I'm wonderful, and yourself?
Good, good. So, on the technology and a couple other things, just real quick, we're kind of looking at the cost savings, but it's even bigger than that. Like, we're outgrowing our 20-year-old station, and the needs for communications, we just don't have the sustainability to keep. This center is going to be able to grow for the future. It's really going to be a state-of-the-art facility. It could potentially host all the PSAPs in the state and do everything right out of there. I think that when this gets up and running and we're in there, not right away, but there'll be other departments that'll want to join, and then our assessment potentially could go down more. So, the technology, I went through it, I actually don't have it in front of me right now, but I went through it with the finance committee the other night. It's just, we just could never do in a million years what's going to be done there.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, how many towns are in there now? We're gonna be like the third or the fourth?
Right now, Mansfield and Foxborough have actually already combined. They combined last July, and we'll be in it with Easton as well. So it'll be Foxborough, Mansfield, Easton, and Norton. Easton's not in it yet at this time. There are other towns that I know for a fact because I've talked to other chiefs that are looking to come in. It's certainly not my area of expertise, but one reason we got into this is because the state wants to get rid of the PSAPs in every community, and because they're so cost prohibitive. So they want centers to be able to take the calls rather than little substations all over the place. So we kind of think it's going to be a state mandate at some point in time. Certainly, you don't know when that's going to happen, but it's really a professionally run organization from the director that he's really been doing a great job. So.
Great, thank you.
Let's go ahead.
I just wanted to see if there were any other questions on the communications. Okay, Mike, I guess.
All right. Am I still sharing the screen?
With yourself.
Thanks, Brad. Okay, wait a second.
So Mike, while you pull that up, like if I may ask Chief Clark how things are going. I know there's a lot of communities near us have been seeing some unrest. What's your perspective? Everything okay so far?
So, you know, the local community that's having a event tonight is Taunton. They seem busy earlier. They seem to quiet down. Seems like it was very well run. Certainly, you know, first and foremost, I guess I'll say it. You know, I made a statement to the newspaper last week. Like this is just tragic and disgusting, and we're all outraged by it. It's just not the way police officers are, you know, collectively. So when we see this happen, it really, you know, gets us at our heartstrings. It's not the way we operate in Norton. Certainly, we'll learn some things from it, but it's just absolutely disgusting. The you know, I actually sent Mike a email earlier. Back in 2014, there were not similar incident, but there were some high-profile, controversial use of force police cases, and President Obama at the time put a 21st century police task force together, and they came out with 6 pillars. And you know, in May of 2015, they came out with their final report. And in August of 2015, the Mass Chiefs went through it and did a position paper. And I actually put a PowerPoint together in December of 2015 on where we are as a police department compared to the pillars. And we certainly met or exceeded all of them. And it's something that I'm definitely going to go through again. There's been some changes, and you know, one that I was looking at tonight, it's like the DARE program. We don't do the DARE program anymore, but we have the Project Alert program in the middle school. That's actually a better program. We're in there longer, and it's really well received. So that's first and foremost. You know, we certainly don't want to be painted by a broad brush, but also the people that are out there protesting, we want to make sure they're protected, and you know, they don't want to be painted by a broad brush either by the people that are looting and are the criminals. So obviously it's a stressful time. There's a lot of anxiety. You know, I happen to be the president of Metro Left, which is a 44 community regional group, and you know, there's a lot of departments that are having events. Randolph had one tonight. Mansfield has one tomorrow. I think Attleboro has one Sunday. So there's a lot of events out there, but for the most part, it's they've been very peaceful and well organized.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, the next section, public health nurse. Personal services, $35,139. Charges and expenditures, $10,250. A total budget of $45,389. And we're lucky to have her. Council on Aging, personnel services, $88,650. Charges and expenditures, $13,200, for a total of $101,850. And the increase there is, if you remember, last year, partway through the year, a clerical position was added to the budget. Veterans agent, personnel services, $82,933. Charges and expenditures, $3,750, and veterans benefits, $230,000, for a total of $316,683. Library, $501,781, and recreation personnel services, $25,116. And charges and expenditures, $17,550, for a total of $42,666.
Mike, can you explain the personnel services, the reduction under veterans?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't finish that question.
The veterans agent will be hiring a new clerical person this year that'll be coming in at a lower salary than the existing person.
the COA, Mike, what's driving that increase? Is that more hours, more staff?
The COA, that was the one where I said, last year, in October, they added, a clerical position to the COA. And so that's now in the budget. Before it was just Beth and her outreach counselor. And the school department, the budget is $30,706,589. And Southeastern, we're still, they're going to present, as I said, next Wednesday to the Finance Committee.
Mike, did you show the school? I didn't see that up on the screen, or is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking to see if I don't know if I.
If you're looking at the spreadsheet, it's back a couple of pages. It's back probably maybe 3 pages, 4 pages from the end. It's line item 300. So you can go back and look at the numbers after the departments.
There has to be a better way of scanning these files so that we can search through them.
I have it up on my screen if you want me to share, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
Invaded by my dog. All right. I believe I have the ability to share my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, share. I'll share.
There you go.
So you are, town manager recommendation is this column, Mike, column K?
Yes. 30,706,589. And the Finance Committee did vote that recommendation also.
And do we know why there's such a drastic reduction?
Well, they came in with an 8% request. And our target was we were trying to get before March, we were trying to get 3% for our town and 3% for schools, but we weren't able to do that. So the schools increase is 2.5 and the town's about 2.22 or something to that level.
Do we have any idea what the reduction is going to look like for the schools yet, or are they still trying to work through that?
Joe's still trying to work through that. He was at the Finance Committee meeting Monday night when they voted this.
Hey, Jack, in that column L, is that for the delta? That is a negative, right? But what's that calculating from?
So that's pulling what was asked for by the department in column H
Okay.
versus what was recommended. So 1.6 less reduction of 5.36%.
And Mike, you said it's based on pre-March and then now pandemic.
And then column N, just for your edification, is the increase over fiscal year 20 to the town manager's recommendation. So it's gone up $748,941 fiscal year 2020.
And while Jack is on that page, I think we missed the street lighting and sanitary landfill previously. I don't think I covered that. So you can see the street lighting is 40,000. That reduction is basically because we've gone to our LED light, so we'll have a full year next year with the LED. And I haven't heard any complaints from anyone. I shouldn't say it.
Is the entire town changed?
All the lights are changed. Yeah, they did a great job. They were really quick, and so we're anticipating. We put in 40,000, and I believe of the 40, I'm trying to remember, 15,000 of that is for repairs, and the rest is for the cost of electricity. And then sanitary landfill, 13,000. That's for the testing we have to have done every year on the capped landfill.
Seems substantially higher than last year.
Yeah,
requirements.
They have this is a year that they have to do an extra test. We're hoping that actually the testing's been running pretty well, so we're hoping eventually that, we'll be able to get away from it. So they have to test the groundwater more this year. And what else was I going to say? Snow and ice. So this year we did pretty good. I think Keith was only over by 14,000, only spent 94,000 on snow and ice this year.
I remember like once it snowed. I mean, I'm sure there's more times, but.
Yeah, there was only one good storm that I can remember in early December.
Yeah.
And then just little annoyance things that they got to go out and salt and.
Right, and prep for.
Yeah, so most of that expense is the purchase of the salt.
All right. Anything else we need to look at, or I can stop sharing?
That's it. Thank you.
You can see the nerdy things I do.
Thank you for being a nerd, Jack.
I was doing it for your benefit, but that's who I am.
Hey. If you have any questions, let me know. Just send me over any questions. And before we end, Renee, I'm going to send out. I read the entire article on the marijuana. I had some questions on it. I'll send them over to you.
Okay.
All right.
Are we going to go through the capital improvement?
Okay, yeah, I can share that. As soon as I find out where I put it. So the capital improvement also, we met again this week, and we scaled back quite a bit. I'll show you this first. So we had big plans for capital, and we had to scale them back because we weren't confident that we were going to be able to add money to it in the fall. We're obviously hoping we're wrong, but so the beginning balance in capital is my screen sharing, by the way.
Yes.
Right, so $719,242 is the beginning balance that we have. Now, we have payments that we're required to make. As you can see, the fire pumper, 3 of 5, and a couple in highway, a Peterbilt with a tank, 3 of 5, and a Holder utility tractor, 4 of 5. Tree department, bucket truck, 2 of 5, and school department minibus, 2 of 3. So the total payments that we're required to make, $284,650. So that brings our total down to $434,592. And so data processing, our antivirus program needs to be, our antivirus and cyber protection needs to be updated this year. So that's $16,500. The chief of police is looking for a SUV cruiser, and unfortunately, the model that they were using, they are not making the cruisers anymore. So that'll be $60,000, and looking to replace an AC unit at the police station for $11,000. Fire department turnout gear, $12,000. School and police traffic calming system, $10,000. And I hope the chief is still on. I wanted to ask, is this at the Salmony School, chief, or the LG?
It is at the LG. That's the priority location.
And then the school department is, they have a minibus that's past its useful life. They're looking to replace that. So that's $22,000. So that'll leave a balance of $303,092. And if I can just go back up. So we know next year we're going to have $284,650 in payments again, because none of these are coming off. And we're going to be adding to that another $22,000 for the minibus payment too. So we decided we want to leave the $303,092 as a balance to cover those payments in case we're not able to add money in the fall. And then the water department, out of water surplus retained earnings, a Dodge Ram pickup, $34,015. And they're going to be replacing wells 5 and 6, and they're going to be borrowing for that. And the capital committee approved the borrowing, $850,000. Any questions?
Mike?
Yep.
And just a question, in the packet that we got, there's detailed information that has all the highlights.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you just explain those?
Yep. Give me a second, I want to flip it. Okay, this is the 5-year plan. So these were the data processing, to replace the Trend Micro, 16,500, was their request, for, FY 21, and replacement of obsolete unrepairable equipment, 35,000. The police department's request was for 3 cruisers at 140,000, portable radios, 17,000, communications center remodel, and that's what the chief talked to you about previously, once dispatch moves, 35,000, and replace HVAC units, 22,000. The fire department, turnout gear, 12,000. Pumper replacement year 3 of 5, 140,250. And fire alarm truck boom replacement, 51,900. And a department efficiency needs study, 50,000. And apparatus bay efficiency improvement, 70,000. The colors that you're referring to, Renee, in the fire department, anything that's the light pink is 50% out of ambulance and 50% out of capital. And anything that's in the darker pink is 80% out of ambulance and 20% out of capital. The schools requests, the traffic calming system, 30,000. The minibus, 22,000. Interior painting, 50,000. Minibus year 1 of 3, 22,000. Athletic bus purchase used minibus, 25,000. Technology, Promethean interactive displays, 75,000. And bathroom partitions, auto flushes, 50,000. And I will say that a lot of that, the displays and the auto flush toilets, these are things that we think we're going to be able to get funding for out of the COVID-19 funding. So that'll be coming out of there. Then they wanted to install flooring at the classrooms and hallways at the LGN for 60,000. Indoor athletic floors resurfacing, 50,000. And then the highway had the 3 payments that they have to make this year. The fire department, the tree department, bucket truck, another payment, 2 of 5. The library was looking for repaving at 38,500. Sewer department, nothing. Water department, the Dodge Ram, and the replacement of wells 5 and 6. So those were all the requests, but we just didn't have enough to fill them this year. And then you can see the requests going across for 50 years, priorities.
Mike, which of these, like, are these all the ones we couldn't approve, or is there a mix of ones that we could fund and ones we couldn't?
Yeah, there's a mix. So out of the data processing, we did the trend, the antivirus and cyber attack protection. The police, we did 1 cruiser, and we also did 1 AC unit instead of 2. The fire department, we did the turnout gear for 12,000. The school traffic calming system, we did 1. Schools and police together, we did 1 instead of 3. We're making payment 2 of 3 on the minibus for the schools, and we're purchasing the new minibus where it will be payment 1 of 3. And then we did the sewer department requests.
Great, thank you.
This is the sheet that shows the plan that actually is being funded. So the column under capital improvement you can see what's recommended. And then when you go down the bottom, you'll see where the funding's coming from. So the total capital request is $416,150. And $34,015 is coming out of water surplus. This is the same. Any questions?
Everybody digesting?
I'm just looking through the agenda pack to see if there's something else in there.
All good from my side, Brad.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good.
I see Peter with his hand up, I think. I don't know if you want to retain anything from the audience.
Or if Peter would like to ask a question or make a comment, go for it, Peter.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
What's up, Peter?
Doing good tonight. Multitasking at the same time. Watching you tonight, and watching you tonight, and getting ready for the 10 o'clock newscast and recreating game 2 days. I'm going to be.
We're much more important than they are, Peter. I'm terribly hurt that you're not concentrating on what we have to say.
It's okay, I'm multitasking. I'm taking notes.
Okay, Peter, thank you. Does anyone else have anything?
Brett, I would just ask, there's a lot of, several pages in here about the water department. Can we just, in the interest of time, can we just move these, can we review them next week? They seem to be, I can't tell if they're, they seem to be sporadic throughout there. I can't tell completely, but.
Which are we talking about?
Current sewer budget?
Yes.
We can do that next week, and they're gonna be there.
Okay, that's perfect. There are several pages, and then it seems like some other information in between them, and then several, I think what I can tell is then a couple more pages.
Oh, I'm remembering, that was in the packet you got tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And it has on here items like the town sewer project and the water treatment plant and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get them to explain it to us next week. Anything else on the information we have tonight?
No, Brett.
Okay, if not, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Renee?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jack? Mike? And I also vote yes. And we'll have a meeting next Thursday at 6:30.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Great.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Mike, for that review.
Good night, everyone. I took a lot of notes tonight, everyone.